What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's episode, we will talk about 3 things that you're doing as a collector that's literally draining out your money. Let's get started with today's video. No matter how you started this journey of collecting, I think it's going to be responsible for every one of us. I mean, I don't know about you, but I still have to manage my money, budget my money, see how I spend it, see how I make it. I'm definitely not at a point where I don't have to worry about money. So if that's the case for you, maybe this isn't the right video for you, but for a lot of us, we still have to think about where we spend our money and also take the money out of whatever investment we're in when we made the profit. And so I don't think there's anything wrong, for example, with selling a card or another collectible item that you've held for some time when the timing is right. When you've made a profit on an asset, it is really ultimately up to you to decide when the right time is to sell it. Again, if you're fortunate enough where you never have to sell anything that you own, I'm very happy for you. So the first mistake that we're all making as a collector and buyer of collectors is we buy almost immediately when a new product gets released. And this is especially true when the item has been highly anticipated for, and perhaps there was even delays of the release. And so the anticipation is at all-time high, and we purchase it right when the item comes out. More likely than not, demand may not keep up with supply, especially in some of the weaker market conditions that we have seen globally across all markets. It is most likely that you will not have a scenario where, even if it's a limited edition, that the demand would be much higher than supply almost immediately upon release for you to see that profit gain, whether realized or unrealized. Unless it's Hermes producing 25 bags and they've told the world that they will only produce 25 bags for a year, so basically building up that demand for a whole year, and then upon release of those 25 items, each item is selling for higher than the one before of those 25 items. Unless it's cases like that, you will see that the amount you paid for this product or for this good that you just paid for will not sustain its value but will go down. So if you have the luxury to wait for it a little bit, I would give it some time for the price to settle down, whether that's MSRP of a pair of shoes, bags, cards, whatever it is. I would wait for it to stabilize before you jump in to an unstable market right upon release. Well guys, before I forget, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. 70% of you are not subscribed, so thank you for doing that. And let's get back to the video. The second biggest money mistake that I've made, and I know that a lot of you guys make as well, is buying something when the prices are going up. This is also called sometimes FOMO, fear of missing out. So this is typically when an item has been kind of staying flat for a while, and then out of nowhere, the prices start to creep up. Potentially there's market manipulation, potentially it wasn't advertised correctly, potentially something happened, player passing away, somebody mentioning it on social media, whatever it is, there's some trigger of event that allows this demand to go up, causing the resale market to go up and to respond to that. And you immediately jump on thinking, oh my goodness, everyone is getting a pair. Everyone I know, everyone I follow on social media is getting one. Maybe I should be getting one too. This is a very, very big money mistake. And you see this in stocks and cryptocurrency all too often. When you start to see prices creep up for a stock or for crypto, a lot of novice investors begin to think, hey, I really don't want to miss this boat of whatever potential it could go up to. Now I want to jump in. Actually, in those situations when the price of a stock or a cryptocurrency is going up, an experienced investor would stop buying and stop increasing the position in that specific stock or crypto for a while. It's a psychology that makes all too much sense when we are rational and logical, but obviously that fear of missing out, that irrationality is what causes us to click that button to purchase. So you want to buy an item when it's for sale and sell it at a higher price. But for some reason, the human psyche of fear of missing out, comparing ourselves to somebody else, fear of potentially losing out on a profit that you don't have yet, you build your position into something that is already going up. This can very well play out well for you, as in cryptocurrency, right? Most recently, Bitcoin has gone up quite significantly, and if you picked it up at a slow start in the beginning, it would have been great for you. But more often than not, when you have already seen 5, 10, 15% increase in the price of the stock, of the card, of the bag over a period of time, it is probably not the best time to get into it. So there you have it. As a general rule of thumb, I encourage you not to buy just because everyone else is buying. If you're able to identify 2, 3, 5 different reasons why you should be buying this and why you're confident that this will be a good investment long term, I encourage you to get in. However, all too often, and myself included, we tend to buy out of emotion, out of fear of missing out, out of fear that we may lose out on this profit that we never had. So I would be careful of that. And the third most important money mistake out of all the three that I will be talking about today is not holding the asset long enough. For a lot of us millennials and younger, it is definitely, challenging for us to keep anything long, right? Clothes, shoes, collectibles, people even around us. There's just a very shortened attention span to something. I mean, even on social media, it's no longer, words that we have to read. It's photos. It was photos, and now it's videos because we want to consume even more information faster and quicker. If you're not able to capture the audience in like 10 seconds, you are immediately ousted. I mean, the attention span of our generation is definitely getting shorter, and so is the holding time of each of these assets. There are two big reasons why not holding your asset long enough can be hurtful for you. Number one, there are short-term capital gains exposure that you're putting yourself out to. There's a clear difference between short-term and long-term capital gains tax that the US tax, if you live in the States, imposes on you that can be very different exposure depending on how much gain you have made and what kind of tax bracket you fall into. But let me tell you, you want long-term 20% tax rate versus short-term, which can be around or above 35%. And so that's a very big difference. So not to mitigate taxes, but to defer your taxes and potentially be imposed by a lower tax rate, I highly recommend you hold your asset long-term. Long-term here meaning more than a year to 2 years. The second reason why you flipping through, items and collectibles, in a short time is hurting you is because you won't see through the wins of your asset. Similar to point number 2 of where we had this FOMO to buy, there's also this great deep fear that's in human psychology where when something starts to drop in price, we get immediately so afraid that it will fall more. Didn't happen yet, but somehow we predict that it's gonna fall even more. And to mitigate losses, we like to sell it and just forget about the future of it. But more often than not, when you hold an asset long term, 1, 5, 10 years, it'll do this, right? Every now and then, but it'll do this, right? It'll go up like this way. And so if you don't hold your asset long enough, you will not see the wins that this asset will bring you over time. So again, that psychology of, again, when you want to buy something, you want to buy it on sale, you want to sell something when it's up, when it's above what you pay for, ideally. Not all the time. There are times when you just have to cut the losses. For example, back in Q4 of 2022, for those who just took the loss or just hit that snooze button and said, I'm going to sell a lot of my stocks, good for you, you made a good decision. But more often than not, we have this tendency to sell when something starts to fall. But perhaps if you really believe in this asset, if there are other macro reasons why you want to keep it, I would actually argue that as the prices are falling, to increase your position in that stock, in that crypto, in that card, in that player, whatever it is that you value, and to increase that position over time. I don't recommend buying into something all at once and then selling out of it all at once. That's very dramatic. I would say pick those key assets and those key stocks, whatever it is that you really believe in, and build your position over time as there are points of purchase. And so when the prices have fallen, you increase your position. When the price shoots up, you might have to consider selling some portion of your position just to kind of make your profit and get back to a point where you're comfortable being exposed for that specific stock or asset. The way I see it is the more muscle we build to not make as many of these mistakes each year, we will be able to build a portfolio that sustains some parts of our hobby, maybe even some parts of your expenses, maybe all of it, maybe even more. So I hope you don't make any of these mistakes in your upcoming purchases or even sales. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Like this video, it helps out tremendously with the algorithm. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.